I'm going to start talking a little bit here, and then y'all can get prepared as you need to. Hi, Jason Shope. Okay, so today we're going to do a mixed media piece based on the circle and based on circles in general. I felt like this time of the year, the circle is a really powerful and poignant symbol. We just had the super moon, which was amazing. Easter's coming up. We're in Passover. The circle has significance really across all cultural lines. And while I don't pretend to be like knowledgeable in all of those things, I just want to pay homage to the fact that there is so much significance and power in the symbol of a circle. So we're going to work with that today. I included a couple links to some artists that have worked with circles. As one artist, Hilma af Klint, she worked with circles as a spiritual practice. I'm going to just include the link here also. Other artists that used circles in their practice, I mean, a lot of people do, but significant artworks. This piece by Kandinsky, I'm just going to include it there in the chat. And of course, this one, which he did, I believe, in 1913, but looks so contemporary. It looks like something we would do now. And then I also want to just include this piece by Jasper Johns, who worked with targets. So for today, hi Joanne, what I thought we would do with the circle is use it as a way to center, maybe, you know, I realized when I was doing all this that the virus is a circle. So this could be a way to, I don't know, try to expel it somehow. So take whatever you need to from this, but we're going to just focus on circles. So for this assignment, you can choose to just use marker if you want, or even just pen and just draw and doodle today. If you just feel like kind of going inward, sometimes I like just drawing and not messing around with paint. We got pretty messy last Monday. So if you want to just draw today, excellent. If you want to incorporate other media, I'll tell you what I'm going to be using today. I'm going to be using markers. I'm going to be using some decorative papers and found papers for collage elements. So things that I've had around the studio, things I made in class. Shout out to Pat if you're out there. She gave me a whole bunch of these amazing, gorgeous decorative papers, and I might incorporate some of these into my piece today. I don't really know where it's going to go, but those are things I'm going to use. Also, you might want scissors, Exacto Knife, to cut through things. I do have my acrylic paint handy, brushes, and then if you want to work on paper or canvas, up to you. I'm going to work on paper. Jamie, what was the name of the first artist link? I think that's the link to Hilma af Klint, who was a woman who painted in the early 1900s, and her paintings were all based around spiritual occultism practices. And she died and people didn't know about her, and then vaults were opened, her paintings were discovered, and now they've had like retrospectives of her shows. Definitely look her up. I also included a link in the comments or in the description of this video. You might be inspired by her. Okay, so I'm going to work on paper, and I'm going to work this way so you can see me, but you might find it easier to work flat today. So I just want to you know, you don't have to totally follow me. Hopefully you'll get some inspiration from what I do, but yeah, I think probably working flat might be a little bit better today. All right. So you're going to want a square piece of paper. Now I happen to have a whole pad of these decorative papers that come square already, but if you don't, what you should do is take a regular piece of whatever paper you're going to work on and fold it to the edge like that. Some people are more precise than I am. I am terrible at being precise, but you'll want to fold it and then cut off this remaining part. And then you'll have a square that you can work with. And hold on to that remaining part because that will be a good straight edge. So something I forgot to do is show some examples of where we might go today. Here's a circular artwork. I found this one also that I did a while back. Here's a mandala type of a thing, spiral, mandala. So this might be some directions you go in today. You might do a bunch of small things and then make one big piece with them at some point. Up to you. The sky's the limit. Okay, so getting back to this. So I have my square. I'm going to fold my square in half also because it helps me to see where the center of the paper is, because that's what I'm going to base my circle around today. So I'm basing this assignment on mandalas and the Pennsylvania Dutch farm hex symbols. And again, I put some links to that in the comments or the description of this video. So now I'm going to fold it again the opposite direction. And that just gives me two lines to work from, but it also gives me my center point, which is going to be important for this. So next step for me, I mean, again, you'll probably want to work flat, but I'm going to go ahead and just tape this up here so you can see what I'm doing. So where these points cross, that would be the center of my circle. And from here, I'm going to make a series of concentric circles inside of each other based on this point. So you could just eyeball it if you want. If you want to be more precise, I don't have a compass, but I came up with kind of a, oh, thanks, Jen. I came up with a homegrown DIY compass method. And I know there's easier ways to do this, probably. But what I'm going to do is take my flat edge or whatever, straight edge, put the end of it there on the dot in the middle, and then I'm going to mark off, well, let's say right up there, put a little point there on my page, and then spin this a little bit and do another point and spin it. And just do this all the way around the page. It might take a little time. And yeah, I think this is easier to do if you're working flat. I know there's also a way you can do it with a piece of string. I was also thinking you could take a tack and tack it in the middle. Maybe I'll try that for my next circle. So that at least gives me an outline. And I mean, this is a lot better than anything I could actually draw freehand. Hi, Sarah. So I'm going to connect the dots. And you could do this if you want to, or you could use a pencil, marker. I'm going to leave it up to you. I mean, for me, this is like amazing because y'all know the kind of stuff that I do. So you could, I'm always tempted to just go ahead and, eyeball it. It's a good drawing practice to do. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start another circle about 1.5 inches away from this one, and I'm going to just try to draw it freehand. Like I said, this is a really good way to practice like hand-eye stuff, but I can already tell my circle's a little bit off. And up to you. You might want to do one more. This is just basically a map for you that you're going to base the rest of your piece on. So you might do another one on the very outer edges. Another thing you could do is just be tracing circular objects. It's up to you how perfect you want to get it. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in some of these, what are they called? Axis, the lines that go through, radial line. Ugh. And you might want a straight edge for that. Since this is already folded, I have that already, which is nice, but I'm going to try to find something that represents a straight edge. There we go. Okay. So that and that. Then I'm going to do one this way. And I'm going to do one this way. Just cutting right through the center of the circle. So I have this wonderful map now that I can base a design on. So this is where you might just get into the doodling aspect. I'm doing this with a marker so you can see, but for you, you might just do this with a pen, up to you. But what I'm going to do now is use this as a map for myself and also as a formula that I'm applying on here. So let's see, I'm going to start with just doing kind of like a petal around each of these orange lines. What happens with me is I start to get really confused. Things start overlapping and I get confused. So just a really beautiful geometric circular design. So I might embellish this some more. This is where coloring can be really fun. So maybe, you know, coloring in some of these little shapes here. If you wanted to be doing this with paint right now, you could be. I'm going to switch colors and maybe do a different design now. I'm going to do some hearts or petally things coming out from here. And I'll just do this on the 4 lines and I'll extend it out a little bit more. So if you're working alone in your studio, this is a nice time to just kind of go inward, get a little bit quieter. Maybe here I'll do, I don't really know, doing like a little. So from here, it's really up to you how you can just keep going and keep pushing this however you would like. I'm going to move into paint pretty soon here just to see how you might approach that. But another thing is, you know, maybe doing something like this. Maybe repeating a symbol over and over. You know, maybe I would do lines in one area here. But this can really tap into like the doodle brain. So I'm gonna use a little paint at this point, just because I like to. Actually, yeah, I'll just go ahead and start with some paint. Again, you might just choose to keep drawing. You also might choose to do a second piece on a canvas and just use paint for it. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm probably gonna paint over some of this stuff, so don't be too alarmed. I'm just gonna be building up layers. So since it's that time of the year, I'm gonna work with a lot of pastels. So I'm gonna be mixing, I'm gonna have a lot of white out. So I mixed up a nice light blue for myself, and I'm gonna just go ahead and start painting around some of these areas here. Let's switch it up and move to a slightly larger brush. I feel like putting some orange next to that blue. So I'm gonna do like a lighter orange. And sorry, y'all, I'm gonna paint over some of this. I'm seeing pink next. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a green, yellow, and blue. And maybe just paint around some of this stuff here. And I'm just starting to feel, I mean, again, just go with your own gut. But for me, I don't know, I'm seeing petals starting to come off of this. starting to look like a flower. So there might be a symbol you like that you could put in each of these, or just, again, working intuitively if you want. I'm going to incorporate some paper, some mixed media collage paper in here now. So whatever you have around, I would really like to use some of this pretty paper from my friend Pat. So I'm going to find a color here I like. She gave me so many wonderful things. I got this beautiful pink. This must be like handmade paper. It's amazing. Look at that. I am going to cut, I think I will cut some feeling like cutting some half circles. So actually something you can do that's a really easy way to cut circles or ovals is fold your paper in half. Oops. Like this. And then, say I have the fold there, and now I'm just going to cut into the fold. And I'm going to create some little shapes for myself. Putting them on my computer. So you might take a little time right now to just cut up some shapes that you like that are easy. Circles, triangles, diamonds, ovals. Just some straight lines. And after I cut that, I have this really cool pattern. This could make a really good mask, which you could paint into. Actually, I might try to do that. I'll just keep this off to the side for now. So I've only cut 5 circles. I'm going to have to cut another one. I hope people are out there doing stuff. Yesterday I was listening to someone giving a talk on Instagram, and I was painting while he was talking, and he kept asking questions. He kept being like, "Can y'all hear me? Can you?" And I just was thinking, there's no way I'm going over to I'm not answering you right now. So maybe that's what's going on with all of you. But it was kind of fun to make some art while he was just chatting away. Okay, so I have these fun little circles. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue them in to my piece. It might be pretty subtle. Actually, I'm going to glue them around in the blue so we see them more. They're kind of all different. There's a lot of variations. So for adhesive, I'm going to go ahead and use medium. acrylic medium. But you can use Elmer's glue. You could use a glue stick. This is what's easiest for me because it's in a tube and it's right here. It's clear. Just going to put a little dot of that on, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting some of these circles down. They're more like ovals, actually. And I like how there's a nice variety with the colors. See, this is where I start getting like going off of my grid here. And I want strips of something. I think I'm going to use this because it's a nice contrast. And I'm going to do just some long triangular things that will radiate from the middle. So I'm going to just cut like that. Let's see, I will need and mine aren't very precise, but yes. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Let's see. Okay. Oops. Might be fun to leave this like that and just kind of curl it outwards. That could be interesting. There is a better way to do this. I put some out on my palette and now I'm going to brush it on. was reading that in Aboriginal art, concentric circles represent meeting places for people because their artwork a lot of times is are maps because they're nomadic, and so I mean, among other things, but concentric circles represent a fire and people sitting around a fire. And I just thought that was a really nice, um, just a nice image, a nice thing to think about. So this is begging me to put something there in the middle of it, some kind of a circle, something there. You could use buttons, you could use found things. Let's see, what do I have in my bag of tricks? It was kind of iridescent paper I made. So I will cut a piece out. This is actually, I'm going to go back to my pink paper from Pat because it's so punchy. I'm going to cut out a piece from this kind of orange section. I'm going to do some concentric circles around that now. Concentric circles means circles within circles. I'm not sure if I actually knew that before I did research for this assignment today. I'm so curious to see what all of you are working on. So I hope you share these with me. I will say I've had some amazing people, some amazing results, or people have shared their amazing results with me from the last assignment. And I do want to get them up on my blog eventually because they are just, wow. I was super impressed. I also have this really punchy blue paper. Is it blue or green? Actually, I can't really tell. Let's see, that way. That could be cool. I'm just going to go for it. I mean, there's no way I could have planned any of this beforehand, but I kind of like this idea of it's almost like applying a formula to something, repeating it, and just seeing what happens. So some other things, I mean, I could just keep going and going with this. Another thing that you could try doing is using your Exacto knife and cutting through parts of your design and maybe putting a piece of paper behind it. I'm going to attempt to do that. I don't want to cut on this canvas because I don't want to cut through the canvas, but I just want to show you what I mean by that. I'm looking for a piece of cardboard. So again, this works much easier if you're working flat, but I'm putting a cutting board behind this, and I kind of like this. I'm going to cut through here again. This is really hard to do. So now I have these cool pieces that I could incorporate somewhere, whether I do it in this design or somewhere else. But if you're going to use an Exacto knife like this, please be careful. Keep your hands out of the way. Keep your fingers out of the way, because they can be kind of dangerous. I'm going to just work out from here. So now I could put something behind that, and that would add a really cool part to the design as well. I had some bright gold foil that I'd love to put back there, but I don't have it with me. You see how that looks really cool now behind it. Just gonna tape that. You could adhere it with glue. I'm gonna just be temporary about it and tape it. See, so I put this on the back side so it comes through. So that's something else you could do. Another thing that you can do with your paint, if you have a circle, is use this as a mask. And I'm going to just paint on canvas here. I'm going to purple paint. So you can already see how that happened, but you could be a little more intentional with it. Masking in general, you could use some of these things that you've cut. This works better if you're working flat. But yeah, kind of got blobby, but you get the idea. So you can also create masks and make interesting paintings that way. And if you want to just start working with paint and do a Jasper Johns, you can take different circles, put them all into one big piece. There's really so much you can do with just a simple circle. I'm wondering if any of you came up with any cool techniques or anything as you've been working. And if you have, please share. Now I'm going to close this off by showing you something that I should have been showing in all of my live stream sessions. And I probably will start to show it moving forward. But if you're like me and you have been working with paint, you might have a really messy palette right now. And or you might have like paper towels with little marks and stuff on them. What you can do, I used a stencil and some floss. Cool. Like floss, you just put it on with glue. Stitching would be cool. Yeah. I'm just going to show this because I don't know if I can actually, but so there's my palette. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to, this is paint, let's say hypothetically this is paint I don't want to use anymore, I'm done. What you could do is take a paper towel, put it on the paint and really, take a brush and let the paint really absorb into the paper towel. And then let it dry and then peel that paper towel off and you have a really wonderful material that you can work with. For example, I have a whole Ziploc baggie here of paper towels that I used this way. I used them to sop up some wet paint and then I laid them out on a piece of freezer paper and when they dried I could just peel them right off. Some are more intense than others. I mean, I use them in projects. It's a great way to use up your materials, but also to just make like cool new things to work with. So sometimes they stick together, but like here's one with some sparkles on it, but you can see like it picked up all the stuff from the paint, from the palette. Cool, Sarah. Yay. I'm so glad. An embroidery hoop. Hello. Perfect. I've been seeing people doing things on raw canvas and then just taking an embroidery hoop and putting it around it and framing it that way. So that's a really cool idea. But embroidery, stitching is so awesome. Yeah. Okay, just showing these again. Using paper towels and my leftover paint, making these, letting them dry on my freezer paper overnight, peeling them off, cutting them up, and adding them to collages in the future. So you can do that instead of throwing away all that paint. Anyone else have some cool techniques that they did? I'd love to hear about them. Embroidery is great. Something else I was thinking today as I was making my coffee, the coffee filter is round, and that's a really fun material to paint on and do things with. And potentially use that in a future piece. So I really hope to see some of your completed circle art, mandala, hex, I don't know, centering meditations, get rid of the COVID-19, whatever they are, Easter blossoms, just whatever you're doing today. using the circle as a base. I'd love to see what you come up with. And let me know if there's anything you want covered in the future. If you like doing these mixed media type of exercises, I can always, or lessons, I have plenty more ideas out there. So I'd love to share them. Monday, I am going to do another abstract painting. We will be working from a still life or a photograph, whatever you want to work from, but we are going to work abstractly again. So it's just going to be a slightly different process than last Monday. So that's what we're doing Monday, and I haven't decided yet for next Thursday what we're going to do. But if you have any ideas of things you want to learn, I definitely would like to do a portrait at some point with everyone, a self-portrait, some fun self-portrait approaches. So if you have ideas of things you want covered, let me know. Another thing, if you have all these leftover bits, make them into greeting cards. I mean, send them to your neighbor, put them in your neighbor's box. Make nice little messages with them. Okay, I am rambling now. Well, thanks everyone. I can't wait to see what you do or what you did today. It's really great to see everyone's comments. Have a really wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday, I hope. And take care. Love you guys. Bye.